Alright, let's take a look at how you can make gold from Living World Season 3 currencies, and let's update our Ascended Crafting Materials guide while we're at it. Each of the Living World Season 3 maps will feature an exclusive resource, and gathering these will always yield Dragonite Ore, Empyreal Fragments or Piles of Bloodstone Dust as a byproduct. The map exclusive resources are one of the most popular ways to acquire Ascended Trinkets for all of your characters. Once you're done outfitting them, you might be inclined to let these waste away in your bank though, which would be a shame because they're worth quite a bit of gold. Before diving into the different ways of converting them to gold, I want to mention buying trinkets in Bloodstone Fen in particular. You can buy a backpack, ring and amulet there, and all of them come with a unique feature. They are the only Ascended Trinkets from a Living World season that can have their stats reset by simply spending 100 Unbound Magic on a Bloodstone Capacitor. If you tend to switch builds every few weeks or days even, this feature can save you a lot of time spent farming. There are other ways to reset stats a few times on some Ascended Trinkets, such as infusing or attuning them, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Now let's get to the good part and how to make gold from these resources. All of the currencies can be consumed for Unbound Magic. Winter Berries and Orient Pearls will on average yield 19 Unbound Magic, while the other 4 will yield 38. You can purchase Magic War bundles, which will yield tier 6 crafting materials and a rare chance at a Mystic Clover from the different map vendors for Unbound Magic. The only bundle you want to buy is the one sold by the Ember Bay vendor for 1250 Unbound Magic and 40 silver. All of the other map vendors require less Unbound Magic, but they ask for 1 gold instead, making it a worse deal. If you're doing the maths, that means that each Winterberry and Orient Pearl is worth 1 silver and 36 copper on average, and the other 4 resources are worth double that. While it is the most straightforward way of converting these to gold, it isn't the best way for all of them. For all of the maps that sell an Ascended necklace, you're technically better off buying those and salvaging them with an Ascended salvaging tool. The profit from doing this will mainly come from salvage excellences and stabilizing matrices. I wouldn't recommend this to everyone though. One of the salvaging tools will cost you 1 gold, and the bulk of the profit actually comes from the salvaged excellences, which only have a 1.4% chance of dropping. If you have free Ascended salvaging kits or vast amounts of Unbound Magic, that might change things for you and make this the better option. But for most of us, consuming them for Unbound Magic will be a more feasible option. Things don't stop there though. There is a much better way to make gold from both Winterberries and Fire Orchid Blossoms. Instead of consuming winterberries, you want to go and buy the recipe for a steak with winterberry sauce from the Quaggan near the hot springs. You'll need to complete a heart, after which he will sell you the recipe for 17,500 karma. Making this dish will cost you on average a little under 4 silver in materials, as well as 3 winterberries, which we can value at another 4 silver because we won't be consuming them. The dish itself can be sold for 11 to 14 silver on the trading post, depending on whether you fill orders or decide to list the item instead. Doing this means you're almost doubling your profit per winterberry. The same goes for Fire Orchid Blossoms, which are an ingredient for Magnanimous Maintenance Oil, making them worth over 8 silver per blossom, instead of the 2 silver and 72 copper if you were consuming them. Fire Orchid Blossoms are also the ideal tie-in to tier 7 or Ascended crafting materials. You'll need 100 Bloodstone Dust and 5 Orchid Blossoms, as well as 3 piles of Crystalline Dust to craft 5 Magnanimous Maintenance Oils. And these oils sell for 14 to 18 silver each on the trading post. Given that one single craft yields 5 of them, that means you'll be making 70 to 90 silver. One of my very first videos that popped off on YouTube was actually about making gold with these tier 7 materials. Prices have changed since, and I still get questions quite often whether it's still worth crafting some of the utility recipes. So let's go over each of them briefly so you know which ones are still worth it. We already covered Piles of Bloodstone Dust with the Magnanimous Tuning Crystals. This recipe currently is also a better value than trading them in with the gizmo you get from completing the achievements tied to the legendary trinket Aurora. For Dragonite Ore, your best bet today is using the gizmo. Neither of the 3 utility recipes are currently worth crafting. Same goes for the Empyreal Fragments. The best value comes from trading them in with the gizmo as well. There is a limit of 900 that can be traded in per day though, so if you have tons of the stuff lying around, there is still a recipe worth crafting. Toxic Focusing Crystals will still yield a decent profit and will use 100 fragments for 5 crystals, much like the Fire Orchid Blossom recipe. If you want to farm for the materials, you can actually farm the dust from branded enemies or by salvaging globs of ectoplasm, and pristine toxic spore samples can be obtained through gathering the Tower of Nightmares, the Nightmare Fractal, and a couple of achievements. This recipe currently sits at 1 to 2 gold on the trading post, and the last time I made a video about it, it shot up to 28 gold. If this happens, never buy it at that price. Instead, you can buy it for karma from the packed supply network agents. It might take a couple of days for the recipe to become available, but you'll eventually get it. In a next video, I'll go over the Living World Season 4 recipes, as well as the Icebrood Saga recipes. If you have any other comments or questions until then, feel free to ask them down below, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.